Hello, this is Jeremy Coates, and thank you for joining me for this 11th episode for the Innovative Marketer Podcast. Today we are going to be discussing how to stop waiting for change and how to design your growth plan now. This podcast is dedicated to the entrepreneurs that are trying to make a difference in the world. I am your biggest fan, and here's to dominating your personal and professional lives. Hello, my name is Jeremy Coates, and thank you for listening to the Innovative Marketer Podcast. It is not always the best product or services that will dominate an industry. And over the last 20 years, I've learned through my experiences and from the best leaders, copywriters, and entrepreneurs in the world on what it takes to dominate in any given industry. After studying all of the pains and challenges that entrepreneurs face, there are three areas that are crucial for their salvation. We call it the Innovative Marketing Trinity. Innovative marketers build their life around leadership, customer value optimization, and systems that allow them to create and have the life of their dreams. We do this because we feel it is our responsibility to improve the lives of those around us. This includes more than just our clients, but our families and teammates as well. We are innovative marketers, and welcome to our podcast. Have you ever stopped and thought that you should design your growth plan? And I know a lot of people don't talk about growth plans because they're very general. I mean, you have personal growth and business growth. And I personally believe the two are very closely related. You know, it's been said that most people spend more time planning their vacations out every year than they spend on designing their own lives. And I certainly believe this, especially after hearing that John Maxwell didn't have a growth plan when he was younger. And when he did start looking for people that did have growth plans, he couldn't find anyone. So while half of the people are making plans, probably less than half, and planning for growth, you still have a number of professionals that say that planning is useless and things change too fast. What's the point of planning, they will say. And I don't want to name any of these really big named coaches because some of them I really look up to and respect. But I wanted to point that out. While this isn't the most popular topic or subject to be talking about, I feel that designing a growth plan is very fun and is very important. Because without growth, nothing changes. The days and weeks will become systematic. You will feel less motivated and inspired. And there's no real finish line to run towards. After studying leadership and personal development and growth for about 20 years, I've noticed that not very many people are worried about their growth. And they just say that, most of them are just trying to get through what they're currently facing on that day or that week or maybe the months ahead of them. So while, I can agree with that and I totally get it. I understand. I've mentioned before, I've had a lot of life trials and tribulations, and sometimes they've lasted for months and even years. And it's really hard during those points in my life. But let me just say this before I get into this discussion. Sometimes the best time to grow is when you're going through bad things. And unfortunately, sometimes that's the only choice you have is to grow through your problems and pains. A lot of people get stuck in that victim mentality and they want to make excuses. But what I've personally found, and I've seen it myself and I've seen it in a lot of other people, if you take that and turn it into motivation to change and grow, you'll always come out ahead. Okay, so like I said, I can totally agree why some people just don't have growth plans. But I think that some of the problem is most people don't know three things about growth. They don't see the value in changing because they are not that focused on the benefits that growth has and them growing towards their purpose in life or their higher calling in life. A lot of people don't know what their purpose or higher calling is in life. And if you don't believe me, next time you're out with a group of people, bring that topic up and talk to people. A lot of people aren't very clear about their life purpose. They may say that their job is their life purpose or raising their children. And unfortunately, your children are only going to be your children the rest of your life, but they're not going to be little kids. your whole life. So, it's great to be a great parent, but you definitely want to take care of yourself, because here's the thing. When your kids see you chasing after your life purpose and growing towards it, they're going to do the same thing. If they see you sacrifice your life and give up all your dreams and goals for them, sometimes that's going to make them feel like they're holding you back. And then when they grow up, they do the same thing with their kids. So I want to point out, you have to see value in yourself to add value to yourself. And when you do that, everyone around you will do it, and so will your kids. The second thing is that people don't know about growth is they don't know how to change and grow. And the third thing is typically they are afraid of change, or they think that they will change automatically with time. Now, I want to point out here that John Maxwell lists out 8 growth traps in one of his books, and I'll discuss some of that later. I'm trained to teach these mastermind courses and lunch and learns over his laws, his 15 invaluable laws of growth. But I don't want to go too in detail of that, but I do want to mention the growth traps, because I think that's where most people will get stuck. And while I don't know why people typically when they hit one growth trap, they'll just get stuck and they'll stop. So I want to go through some of the growth traps, and I don't want to focus on them too much, because I want to focus later on in this episode more on the benefits of growing and why you should start to design your growth plan now. But here's the growth traps that John Maxwell discovered in no particular order. The first one is the assumption gap, which means that I assume that I will grow over time. It's just like when people go to high school and they get out of high school, if they don't continue their education, typically they don't continue to grow in life. Same thing for college, same thing for secondary education. A lot of trades and a lot of professions require you to update your education every year. So you want to make sure that you're always growing. But that first growth gap is the assumption gap, because people think that they automatically grow, and that just isn't the case. The second trap or gap is the knowledge gap. I don't know how to grow. Some people, if you go to college, and I know when I first went to college, I don't remember what year it was or what teacher even said this to me, but they said that it's not my job to teach you this course. It's your job to figure it out on your own and learn on your own and learn how to think. And ever since then, it really put me on a growth path, I guess, so to speak, because I always looked for different things or different ways to learn the skills that I needed to get where I wanted to be. A lot of people, when they just use that excuse, I don't know how to grow, and they stop. To me, I don't ever want to be in a position where I don't know how to do something. If I don't know how to do it, I either go out and find the people that know how to do it, or, I'll figure it out. You know what I mean? So the third growth gap is the timing gap. It's not the right time to grow. And a lot of people, I know I've been guilty of this one too. I mean, you're busy with life. You're taking your kids to school and after school functions, or you have meetings for work, or you're in and out of town. It's really easy to get stuck in a gap where you don't have time to grow. But I think the point is, be aware that you don't want to stay there. You want to make sure you plan things out and just take baby steps. Even if you're getting up and reading a book 10 minutes every morning and 10 minutes at night, you got to look at the time that equals over the span of a few years, So the fourth gap is the mistake gap. I'm afraid of making mistakes. And I know in my younger years in college and thereafter, I was always afraid to do things because I always wanted to be the best and I always wanted to be perfect. And the older I got, the more I realized that perfection is a myth. It's very hard to be perfect at anything. And usually the people that make the most mistakes are the most successful. So don't get stuck in the mistake gap. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are part of what molds you into the person that you are. You know what I mean? So the fifth gap is the perfection gap. I have to find the best way before I start. And I've been there too. I'll take a course or or take some more training. And before I get started, I'll feel like I need to learn something else, or I feel like I don't know something else before I get started. And I've been stuck in this gap a lot. So there is no perfect. That kind of goes back to the mistake gap. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to be, not perfect or make mistakes, Now, the sixth gap is the inspiration gap. I don't feel like doing it. And I know sometimes people get stuck in that gap because they don't know their purpose, like I was mentioning before. And we've also talked about it in one of the earlier podcasts about how important it is to find your life purpose and know what you're doing, with your life. Because usually the people that get stuck in the inspiration gap, they don't know their purpose and they just don't have the motivation and the energy to make things happen. Now, the seventh gap is the comparison gap. When you feel like others are better than you may be. And I know that this is never this gap never goes away either. I used to be worried about being around people that were better than me. And now I actually look for people that are better than me and I try to learn from them and make friends with them. And because like John Maxwell said, you never want to be the smartest man in the room. Because if you are, you're not in a growth environment. And, if you're feeling like you're not better than other people, embrace that feeling because that's a great opportunity for you to learn and get better. And the last gap, the eighth gap, is the expectation gap. I thought it would be easier than this. And I've heard a lot of people say that throughout my life when trying to do something they've never done before, whether it be in business or in the gym or on sports or in music or computers or anything. Everything always looks easier than it does when a professional's doing it. I know I got a really good saying that I say on job sites or sometimes when I'm doing things that is hard. I try to make up little mantras or little sayings that would make me feel better. And one of my sayings was make it look easy. Because if you've ever noticed, professionals make everything look easy. So when people are learning to do something for the first time, just tell them, hey man, don't worry about it. Just make it look easy. Eventually, if they focus on that, it usually, I don't know why or how this works, but some part of their subconscious mind will try and figure it out and make it look easier or make it an easier process. So now I don't know about you if you wrote these traps down or if you've read John's book or if you know what I'm talking about when I mentioned all these 8 gaps. I don't know about you, but I feel that I've been caught probably in each one of these traps multiple times my whole life. And I want to make a point here. It's very difficult to design your growth plan if you're not aware of these areas that will hold you back from growth. I just want you to understand that there are 8 areas that people get hung up on. So don't think that growth is just going to be easy. Expect to be stuck in these gaps at least once or twice. You might get stuck in all 8 of them 5 times. But the point is, be aware that you're stuck in the gap and be aware that it just takes progress and moving forward. You just want to make sure that you're aware of the gaps. You don't focus too much on them because I want to remind you, like so many coaches remind me, and you've probably heard this from Tony Robbins, where your focus goes, energy flows. So we want to focus on your growth so that you grow. I don't want to focus too much on the gaps. So let's get started on how to design your growth plan. Now, I know you may sigh at the sound of this, but the first thing that you need to do is buy John Maxwell's book if you don't already have it, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. This book is so foundational on designing your growth plan. There's just no way that I can get everything in this talk about how to design a growth plan, but having this book and reading it and studying it is your first step. Think of it like buying a Bible and going to church. You're not just going to read, your Bible and then learn it and then put the book away. You're going to always go back and read it and learn from it and study from it. Now, this book has 15 laws And when you focus on all of them, that is how you maximize your growth potential. And like I mentioned before, I'm certified to teach masterminds, lunch and learns, and speak on this topic. So I'm going to try and get the most, important pieces of the laws in this talk. There's no way that I can focus on any one of them, but the first step is to buy that book because it is the best on this topic that I've ever seen. But a lot of people, the second point I want to make is if I can get you into the habit of reading books, and I know if you're one of my friends out there listening to this, you're probably laughing at me right now because I try to push books on everybody that I know. But if you get into the habit of reading books and learning, you're going to automatically grow because your awareness level changes. And I'll make one key point. Have you ever noticed when you read a book and then a few years later, 5 years later, 20 years later, you read the same book, but you learn something different? Why is that? Well, let me tell you why. Your awareness level has changed. Some of the problems that the book was talking about 20 years prior, you haven't even had those problems yet. You haven't had those challenges. You were standing at a lower level in your life, but over time you grew. You've had more experiences. Things change. Your perspective has changed. You've got different people in your life, different problems. You've accomplished more. You've been set back more. So reading the books are so foundational. It's almost like the mortar when you're building a wall. The bricks are the pieces of knowledge. The books are kind of a way of holding all those pieces together. You know what I'm saying? So if anything, try to get in the habit of reading books, and that'll definitely help speed up the process. Okay, so to fully understand how you can reach your potential, you need to focus, you'll need to grow in the following areas. These 5 areas. The first one is self-awareness. And that kind of covered a little bit of that in what I was just talking about. One thing that I know that you grow when you grow and you learn and situations happen to you, your awareness level changes. I know, have you ever had a speeding ticket? The first time you had a speeding ticket, your heart's pounding out of your chest. You're just scared to death. You're like, oh my God, they're going to take me to jail. And maybe you get pulled over again. And then you get pulled over again and maybe a couple more times. Or maybe this hadn't happened to you. Maybe it's just me. But, the more times you go through a stressful situation, your awareness level goes up. Your skin gets a little thicker and it doesn't stress you out as much. So self-awareness is something that you will need to focus on when you grow. Okay. And that happens in a lot of different areas in our life. And that's a whole different conversation. But just remember that self-awareness is something that the more you have, the more powerful you become. The second thing is character. Character is something that it's a very, very important principle. I believe it's probably the foundation of integrity. And my opinion on this goes back and forth depending on who I'm reading and what kind of things I'm going through in life. But I really believe that character is what, it's what people think about you when you're not around, and I've had people attack my character in the past, and a lot of my coaches will tell you it shouldn't matter what people think about you. It only matters what you think about yourself. Jack Canfield taught me that, and he actually brought a lot of peace into my life when I learned that. But at the same time, another piece of me feels like when someone attacks your character, you can't just let that go. I feel like that if someone says bad things about you and it's not true, then that's your character that you need to stand up and fight for that. You know what I'm saying? It's like your reputation. Of course, it's not good to fight over people, who believes you or the people that are spreading lies about you, but it is very important to focus on your character. All the decisions that you make in life, good or bad, are going to help build your character. So remember, you always want to try and do the right thing, unbiased. Doesn't matter the situation. Always take a biased stance and try to do the right thing, and your character will grow. Now, the third area that you'll need to focus on for your growth is your skills. And that goes back to learning how to teach yourself things if you need to learn them to get where you want to be. Don't ever get stuck in a position where, you can't learn something. And I know a lot of other coaches will say, it's bad. You don't need to learn stuff. Just go out and hire people to do it for you. That works great in theory. But in my experience, you still need to spend a few hours, learn some stuff, because you could go out and hire a direct response copywriter or a business manager or somebody to do a certain skill, and they may not know what they're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, how are you going to know if they know what they're doing? And before you know it, they've already spent a lot of money, got your business into a lot of trouble, and you can, I'm sure, fill in the blanks from there. But I still believe that it is your job as a leader to learn as many skills as possible in the allotted time that you have on this earth. I believe everyone's purpose is different. Some people's purpose may only be to do one thing and help a certain amount of people, and you only need to learn a certain amount of things. Other people have bigger purposes in life, and they do require to learn more things. So don't ever box yourself in and think that, you don't need to learn something. You can just outsource it. I believe in outsourcing and getting teams and systems in place to help you leverage your time. But I would never say that's a substitute for learning things and sharpening your skills. Now, the fourth area that you're going to want to focus on in your potential and growth is relationships. I learned a long time ago in college and thereafter, you can't do anything great on your own. I know John Maxwell has a book on teamwork, or the 17 laws of teamwork. And he talks about one is too few a number to do big things. And he goes, there's no Rambos in the real world. And I remember I grew up watching Rambo. So when he said that, I was kind of getting mad. No, man, Rambo was the man, but it's true. I mean, you're only as good as your relationships, and when you reach a certain level in your career, it's not so much the money that you make. It's the relationships you build and the person that you turn into on that journey. And I really believe to live a fully fulfilled life, the money comes and goes. And to me, the people that have really deep relationships, to me, are the most successful ones. And I'm part of a lot of different groups of successful coaches and leaders in the world. And I see the relationships that each one of those people have with their groups. And they all have different relationships. Their communities are different. And some are better than others, I feel. And some, everyone builds different relationships. But I just feel that relationships are probably one of the best things that you can have in life. And the one thing that I will say that I'm gonna challenge you, there's an old saying that says that treat people how you want to be treated. And I believe that for a long time in my life. And now I'm at the point in my life where that doesn't work anymore. You have to treat people better than you want to be treated. You know what I'm saying? And it's really hard. It takes a leader, a humble servant, to treat people better than they want to be treated. But I promise you, if you do that, you invest the time and the money in making yourself a better person, the person your family deserves, the person that your team deserves, the person that your community and your clients deserve, and you treat people better than you want to be treated, it'll always come back to you tenfold. Okay, so the fifth area that you'll want to focus on to reach your full growth potential is spirituality. And I'm not going to get into, discussing different spiritualities and religions, but I think everyone can agree that you have to have faith and you have to believe in what you're doing. And those two principles, faith and belief, I don't think are taught anywhere better than in spirituality, education. You gotta have faith and you gotta believe. Those are two principles I think that, aren't taught the same in the business world and in the sports communities as much. But if you watch teams and businesses that are crushing it, they have faith and they believe in their cause. They believe in each other. Okay. So I want to hurry up. I like to keep these talks short and really concentrated on good stuff. So those are the 5 things: self-awareness, character, skills, relationships, and spirituality. Those are the 5 things that you will want to fully understand to reach your full potential in your growth. Okay. So the great thing about John's laws is they teach you the laws and then you incorporate them in your life. And in the course that he put out that I can teach on, we recommend that you keep a growth journal and stay involved with that journal and also with other students that you may have or other people that you're working with, because when you involve other people in your growth, it just kind of, it causes momentum. You want to stay in a growth environment. Okay. So if you're serious about learning how to design your growth plan, make sure that you have the right resources, like the book I discussed, above or before the 15 laws of growth. You want to start to figure out how you can find your life purpose and how to move towards your dreams. That is another 2 steps that you'll want to include when you're, starting to see the benefits in designing a growth plan. Because if I just tell you to sit down and write out a growth plan, you don't know your purpose or don't have any dreams, you're not going to be very excited about doing it, right? But once you have your purpose and your dreams written down in very specific detail, it gets very easy to plan out your growth strategies. And the growth laws cover a lot of those strategies and the exercises. And the biggest thing for you to do after you have your purpose and your dreams described is you want to start to design that plan. Now, when things get hard and painful, having those purposes and your dreams written out will help keep you motivated and strong through those hard times. I know everyone goes through growth pains and goes through the hard times. And if you don't, then you're probably not living outside your comfort zone and you're just, you're doing what you need to do to get by. You want to push yourself. It's just like going to the gym. Have you ever went to the gym and worked out and you're doing the same workout over and over? You don't push yourself. You do the same weight. You go in there and you don't even sweat. You're not even out of breath. You're probably not getting the results you want, right? But when you write that down like you do in a growth journal, I actually bring a journal to the gym with me and I write down all my workouts. Same principle. Every day I'm throwing on a little bit more weight. I'm doing high reps one week. The next week I'm doing low reps and hitting it heavy. I switch it up. I never get complacent. I never get comfortable. You know what I'm saying? So you want to make sure that you have that journal and write those dreams and purposes down in that journal, right? And the next thing you want to do is commit to your growth plan. And this is basically a way of thinking. You want to form this habit of growth until you die. And I know that sounds harsh, but growth doesn't happen by accident. You don't just get better and grow the older you get. And John Maxwell even says that wisdom is not something you just naturally get with growing old. You have to stay committed to grow. If you get in the habit of growing and getting better and learning and applying some of these things that we talked about and you focus on, you'll always grow. That's why a lot of people talk about, not just setting goals, because sometimes you hit your goals and sometimes you don't. But when you commit to growth, you become obsessed with the process. And that is a very key point. That is why I'm so passionate about pushing reading books on everyone. I know a lot of people that I know, I push reading books on everybody. They probably get sick of me talking about it. But I've seen the transformation in people's lives that I've actually changed their thinking about reading books. The key is reading books that you are interested in and are in line with your purpose in life. Sometimes people ask me, hey, what book should I go out and read? I have no idea. I have no idea what your purpose is in life, what your dreams are, what gets you excited, what keeps you up at night, what wakes you up in the morning. Those are the books you need to be reading, And 9 times out of 10, you'll find that when you read books like that, one book leads to another, and another book leads to another book, and then another book, and then another book. I can't tell you how many great coaches and authors I've found through other great coaches and authors. It never stops. So once you get on that path of growth and reading and learning and sharpening your skills, that's a habit. That's probably one of the best habits you can get. So why not leverage it and use it, right? Okay, so going back to my notes. After you write down your life purpose and your dreams, you make that commitment to form the growth habits the rest of your life. And then you're ready for the fun stuff. Because once you start growing, you're going to start achieving more. You're going to start having more success. Then you'll be able to go do the fun things, your bucket list. Jack Canfield says, make that 100-point bucket list of things you want to do before you die. Sometimes that bucket list is your purpose and your dreams. You got to find out what motivates you to grow. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to go off into a tangent here and tell you a little story about 10 years ago in my life, I decided that I hit a lid and I just couldn't get any better. I couldn't get any, more achievement or accomplish any more in the situations that I had in my life. So I had to start looking to, find more skills to learn to get where I wanted to be. And I started looking at the people that I had in my life and were they getting the results that I wanted. It's very important to surround yourself with people that will help you grow. John Maxwell talks about putting yourself in a growth environment and to make sure you're always learning something new, something that will help you. And this will help you in a lot of ways, but the main ways it helps is it raises your awareness to things that you couldn't see before. It will also help you become a better leader and teacher. And the last point that I'll make before closing this talk out, you want to make sure that you have time to reflect on your progress. And the best time to do this is when things get tough, when you have a failure, a tough break, And believe me when I say it, the more you want to grow, the more opposition you're going to meet. I remember when I was a kid, I used to have Arnold Schwarzenegger, all his little magazine clippings in my dorm rooms, and guys would come there and make fun of me or whatnot. And, it was all funny and stuff to me. But, when I went to the gym, that motivated me. But man, I would kill myself in the gym. I would kill myself. And, when I got older and I got in business, I would hang things up to remind me of where I wanted to be. And that gave me the motivation. But here's the thing. The higher you want to go in life, the more opposition you're going to meet. That fear of failure is a real thing. But let me tell you what fear of success is. When I was younger, I really didn't understand what fear of success was. I was like, what the heck does that mean? Who the hell would be afraid of being successful? Well, let me tell you who, right? Some people are going to hate on you when you're successful. Some people are going to hate on you that you love when you become more successful. And it hurts. Some people are going to cut you out of their life when you become more successful. And some people you have to cut out of your life that you love because you start becoming more successful. That's what I'm talking about. You have to take time and reflect on the things important to your life, the people that you serve, because sometimes you have to make really hard decisions. And sometimes the decision you make, there may not be a good one. Both decisions may lead to bad things. The older that we get, the more you just want to do right. And sometimes even doing right leads you in bad directions and bad things are going to happen. So believe me when I say, the more you want to grow, the more opposition you're going to meet. And if anybody tells you otherwise, they ain't there, man. They haven't grown enough yet. It takes going through a lot. You're going to have to get better. You're going to have to get stronger, and you're going to have to grow. Just remember, like I said, when I'm talking about when you're working out, right? Now I'm going to use this example the same way. When you go through those hard times, when you lose relationships, that's when you need to take time off and rest. That's when you need to take time off and look at that list, your journal, your bucket list, your purpose, your dreams, the people that you are serving, the people that you're helping. You know, that's what you need to do when things get tough, because they will. And you know what you do when things get tough? You keep growing. Never stop growing. To me, some of the best growth in my life have came through the hardest times. And I know John Maxwell, it was such a relief when I read that book when he wrote it, man. You have no idea. I mean, it was a relief because I went through so many bad things, and John Maxwell says, you know, some of the best growth is through the hardest times in your life, man. So things are going to change. Also, your purpose may change. You know, I know when I got started, I focused more on growing myself and my purpose, but you're going to soon realize that, like I said, your true happiness and fulfillment will come from helping others. It comes from building relationships with other people and helping them grow, you know? So, you know, you can't give what you don't have. You want to have a growth plan in place, and you want to grow and become the leader that your family and your friends and your clients need you to become. You know, surround yourself with like-minded people and other people that are a little bit better than you and stronger than you, so that you can grow into a stronger leader and help other people. Now, I want to remind you, as I'm writing this, I just launched a private Facebook group for innovative marketers. It's called the Innovative Marketer. Join that group. We're going to be discussing a lot of the innovative marketing trinity. Like we discussed, the 3 areas of being an innovative marketer. We're focused on leadership, customer value optimization, and systems. Because I believe to be, the fullest person you can be to reach your fullest potential, it takes focusing on that leadership, the customer value optimization, and systems, the 3 things. And we're going to be talking a lot about growth plans. And like I said, growth, it's not just for personal life, and it's not just for business. I mean, when you're on a growth plan, you're on a growth plan and you're growing. So I hope you enjoyed this. Once again, if you have any questions, comments, let me know. And I look forward to talking to you in the future. Thanks a lot. Thank you for listening to the Innovative Marketer Podcast. This is Jeremy Coates, and this podcast covers the 3 phases of the innovative marketing trinity. The first phase is leadership, which includes taking responsibility, finding your purpose, your dream, learning to grow into the leader that can develop other leaders and build teams. The second phase is customer value optimization, which includes assessments, research, describing your perfect client avatars, USPs, direct response copywriting, designing content that drives traffic, and how to read data and key performance indicators so you know how to scale and when to scale back. The third phase is the automation systems, where you learn cash flow systems, how to recruit and train your team, project management systems, content producing systems, communication systems, and the software and apps that will help you achieve your greatness. I encourage you to download the episodes and listen to them again, and leave me a review, good or bad. I'm here to help anyone that wants to get better, and I am also on a growth plan of my own, so let's take this journey together. If you have any questions or suggestions, you can email me at jeremy@innovativemarketing.pro.